नमस्कार दोस्तों, मेरा नाम प्रकाश और आज हम बात करेंगे कनाडा वर्क परमिट के बारे में। हाउ टू गेट कनाडा वर्क परमिट। तो इसी सिलसिले में आगे बढ़ते हुए चलिए शुरू करते हैं। कनाडा में वर्क परमिट पाना बहुत ही आसान है अगर आप कुछ स्टेप्स को फॉलो करेंगे। तो इसके लिए मैंने एक वीडियो कलेक्ट की हुई है जो कि आप आगे देखेंगे। आप उस लिंक पर जाइए और अपना पोर्टल पे अपना सीवी अपडेट कीजिए, अपनी डिटेल्स फिल कीजिए।
A Canadian work permit is usually needed when an employer acquires the services of a worker from abroad at a location in Canada. That employer could be Canadian, or it could be a foreign company that requires one of its employees to be on site in Canada. Whether that work is for the long term, let's say a year or more, or for the short term, as little as even a day, the presentation of a clear and complete case is necessary to gain admission as fast as possible. First, it is important to understand the general rule involves what is referred to as a labor market opinion, or LMO. In most cases, an employer must satisfy the needs of Human Resources and Skills Development Canada that the employment of such a person will not have a negative impact on the Canadian marketplace. Most commonly, the employer may seek to demonstrate that there are a lack of Canadians for the work, either due to a labor shortage or due to the level of specialization involved in the task. However, an employer may also seek to demonstrate that the employment is created or retained for Canadians, and that Canadians benefit from a transfer of skills and knowledge due to the employment of the foreign worker. LMO applications take time, and it's important that this timing be budgeted in the Canadian employment or project. But emergencies can happen, and in some of these cases, the application process time can be reduced. In any case, proper presentation and adherence to the various LMO requirements makes all the difference in the likelihood of success and the time it takes to get that. In some situations, the LMO process can be exempted. Maybe the most common application of this is the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA. Under NAFTA, certain professionals, investors, traders, and other business persons can get a work permit without the LMO application first. Instead of a review of the labor market by Human Resources and Skills Development Canada, the border or immigration officials will review the consistency of the application with important program requirements and definitions. A well-structured application in this category could result in a work permit being issued in as little as a day in some cases. There are other exemptions like these, including the General Agreement on Trade and Services and provisions governing Canadian interests. Examples of these may include transfers of certain employees between divisions of companies in and out of Canada. In some cases, work in Canada can be done in the absence of a work permit entirely, under business visitor provisions. As no work permit is sought in these cases, that means there is no labor market opinion needed either. For the most part, the case described by these provisions are really the exception, quite uncommon overall. The one important exception to this is for workers entering Canada in order to engage in work installing new, specialized equipment that has been sold to a Canadian customer, or to engage in warranty repair of that kind of equipment. These after-sales provisions, as they are referred to, can even include specialized software sold to a Canadian customer. There are certain limitations on this type of work, and in this type of application, even when a work permit is not needed. It is important to have a clear and complete case. Without that, an official may not be satisfied that a work permit is not needed, and the employee could face large delays, being sent home, or even detention in a worst-case scenario. Labor market opinions are all processed at federal government offices responsible for the various provinces and territories. However, work permits and business visitor admission can be processed in more than one way, depending on the case. Foreign workers may apply to a visa office outside of Canada for approval in advance of travel, but this can take time, possibly on the order of months. In some cases, the port of entry is an acceptable venue for submission and processing of an application, which is much faster, often done within an hour, for a well-presented application. Choosing the right method of processing can have an enormous impact on the time it takes to gain approval. A common misconception in all these categories is that an employee of a foreign company is automatically exempt from the requirement of a work permit. It is important to understand that the source of wage of such a worker is not the critical determinant. And work for a client or customer in Canada will most often be subject to the work permit requirement. It would be impossible to touch on all the main points in this summary video. There are so many combinations of possibilities available. CanadaWorkPermit.com provides complete information on all the options that you have.